She was accused of one of the most brutal crimes in American history. But over a century later, new theories are challenging everything we thought we knew about Lizzie Borden. Was she truly the killer, or the perfect scapegoat in a house full of secrets? Lizzie Borden, we're back.
Yes, it's a day after Halloween, and here we are on November 1st, and a little bit change of plans for several reasons, and we're going to do another little episode on Lizzie Borden. And the show that we were going to have, which is on the Night Stalker, is going to be aired in the near future.
Very near future, yep, with Eli. Can't wait. I got a phone call with him yesterday, and he's super excited. He's got some behind-the-scenes info that hasn't been released to the public due to his reputation and connections with the Sheriff's Department.
And congratulations to Eli for the release of his book.
Yep. Very successful from what I hear. Very successful.
About the Black Dahlia and Layla Welch,
yeah.
And how they possibly could have been slain by the same perpetrator.
Yes.
And a fascinating book. It came out this week, and he's traveling.
Oh, he's traveling.
He's traveling with some personal appearances in selling the book, and we wish him the best because
absolutely
he did a lot for our show when we had him on with the Black Dahlia case.
Yeah. Yep. So it's Halloween weekend. I got to ask you, what's your favorite Halloween candy? Mine? Twix. Rich?
Well, I guess a bit unconventional. I like those little packages with the Welch's.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. No connection intended. But those little Welch fruit packs with the little, almost like gummy fruits in there.
Yeah. Fruit snacks.
Very good. Thank you.
Fruit snacks. Yeah. All right. So today we're going to be reviewing some fan work.
Yes.
Someone by the name of Faye. Faye was actually in my live stream last night. So, Faye, thank you for the document, the essay.
Yeah, the essay on the with a very interesting title.
Yes.
I thought this was a really get your attention title, especially with those who are familiar with the Lizzie Borden case. The Butcher and His Canary.
There we go. So I'm going to kind of hand it over to you because you're the Lizzie expert. You've written the book. You know her. So
personally.
Yeah.
Not that old, Seth. I'm sorry.
I had people in the chat yesterday asking if you were alive when Lizzie was alive.
Ooh.
Trying to nail down the...
And we've had a lot of guests. For those people who may have not seen it last week, we sent out a challenge to you to find out, this is a math problem, and we flashed the camera and said, how old am I? And then flashed the camera on you and said, how old is Seth? And we want to find the difference between our two ages.
What's the winner of the challenge get?
Well, the winner of the challenge is going to get a copy of the Lizzie Borden book, or if they already have the Lizzie Borden book, we'll give them a copy of my football book, and it'll be personalized. Or if you don't want to personalize, I can just sign my name, and then you can re-gift it.
Yep.
Or resell it.
And not just the football book. You got the Bradford book too?
I do have a Bradford book if somebody would rather have that.
Right.
So it would be one of those three books, and you decided to...
I was going to throw in a show challenge coin. I don't have one on me. But yeah, just a typical challenge coin that says guest of honor. Faye, I'm going to mail you out a challenge coin. So I'll be in your email at some point because you gave us the material for this episode. So thank you very much. So The Butcher and His Canary by Faye.
The interesting question in that is, who is the canary?
Who is the canary?
And there are several possible canaries. I'm assuming that Faye, when she referred to the butcher, we know who the butcher was in the Lizzie Borden case. And as my book explained, and as her essay explained, we picked the same person. And I'm sure she doesn't mind if we divulge who her choice was, and that choice was, of course, Uncle John Morse, who was Lizzie and Emma's uncle, their deceased mother, that would have been her brother. And he and Mr. Borden were in business for many years, both locally in the Fall River, Swansea area, and by long distance, because when John Morse was in Iowa, he was in the cattle and horse business, and he would ship by train with 2 cowboys to take care of the animals, and he would ship them back to Massachusetts, and they would arrive in the Fall River area and be taken out to Mr. Borden's farm in Swansea, which is not too far away from Fall River. And they had this side business. This was a side gig going that both John Morse and Andrew Borden had.
Sure. Who actually owns the business? Or was it dual?
Mr. Borden owned the farm.
Okay.
But John ran the selection of animals out in Iowa, and the hiring of people both out there to bring them, because when you shipped animals at that time, you had to send somebody along to take care of them,
right?
To feed them, to water them, and it was a process, and it took a little bit, close to 2 weeks to get an animal, a group of animals by a cattle car from Iowa, had to go up to Chicago and then across the country to finally to come into the Providence area and then to Fall River, because that would have probably been the easiest way rather than coming to Boston and then coming down from Boston. It was easy to go through Providence.
Sure. So what does Faye outline in this essay?
Well, first of all, she's got some interesting points that, and I never heard anybody read any report that someone referred to the Borden sisters as spoiled.
Were they?
That, I think that has to be the determination of the reader, and she offers information why she considered them to be not spoiled brats, but entitled in their own world because of their father's station in life, which, let's face it, he started off the son of a fishmonger and wound up owning multiple businesses, being on the board of directors of multiple corporations, banks. He owned a lot of rental properties. And at the time of his passing, and we discussed this earlier, at the time of his passing his net worth in today's dollars would probably be somewhere between $13 and $18 million. Wow.
Yeah.
So
self-made.
In dollars of 1892, it was perhaps somewhere in the order of $500,000 to $600,000.
A lot of spending power at that
which
point.
Even in today's dollars, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, yeah.
So Faye brought out that she had an interesting point about the sisters. She hints to the point where the sisters may have known that something was going to happen, and Uncle John was the facilitator of it. And one of the comments that she made, and one of the quotes that she made was, Emma wasn't present on the day of the killings, but that doesn't mean that she didn't know about it.
Right.
And kind of an interesting point, meaning that Emma was personally away from the scene because she didn't want to be there on the day that the murders happened.
Right. So I don't know. I just have a problem with that in general, because that now you're involving so many people. Now you're involving Lizzie, who could immediately change sides. You're involving Emma, who could immediately change sides. And to me, it's a recipe for disaster. I don't know if I'm going to commit a crime, knowing what I know, I don't think I'm going to inform anybody of it. I think I'm just going to do it.
Well,
kind of like DB Cooper, man. He just did it. Didn't talk about it.
Yes, but a lot of the crimes that we've been presenting on our podcast have been conspiracies mentioned with so many of them. There were some solos like H.H. Holmes and others, but there were many that were conspiratorial,
right?
Like the Kennedy assassination. For years, the Warren Commission report said that he was the sole gunman, but now we hear stories of the past that maybe he wasn't even a gunman. Maybe he was what he said he was, a patsy.
I was answering some questions on my live stream last night about JFK and the dual gunman theory, magic bullet type of stuff, which was pretty interesting.
It's that whole story is a interesting story, and what Faye brought out in her paper was that, and in the way I believe she looked at it, and reading her document, the way I think she was stating her case was that several people had something to gain with the death of Mr. and Mrs. Borden and the order of their
time of death,
of their death. In other words, if Mr. Borden had been slain first, then legally, even though his wife might have been slain second, legally the power of the estate would have gone to her family upon his death if he died first.
Really?
Under Massachusetts law at the time, it would have gone to her family. And then that would have lessened the importance of Lizzie and Emma's position. And not eliminated it, but lessened it. Because initially it would have gone to Abby, and Abby was slain, and it would have gone to Abby's family and Emma and Lizzie.
Sure.
Where the Abby was slain first, and now the estate, if it's in joint names, goes to Andrew Borden. Now he passes away, and it goes to his heirs.
Sure.
Rather than to any relatives of Abby Borden.
Yeah, that's interesting. And earlier in the week, like it's Halloween week, and we had on the podcast, I had a whole like live stream watch party Halloween special for Histories and Hauntings. And we talked a lot on one of the first nights that we did it on the Lizzie subject. And we were actually talking about that, about the estate going to who, like in the time of death and all that, and how it was, put together. And a lot of the people in the comments, and there were 15, 20 people in there, and they were kind of like, no, I don't think that's the case. They were like, I don't, committing a crime, how can you think about that and plan that out? So that was kind of like a quick response. But yeah, to me, it's just like, I don't know if, yeah. But it makes sense. It makes sense. But
if it was planned,
yeah.
If it was pre-planned, let's say between the sisters and Uncle John Morse, and he being the facilitator, the butcher, if they were to plan it out, that would have been the order.
Sure.
The order of death.
Right.
Would have been Mrs. Borden first and then Mr. Borden. And as we know, by scientific evidence that was done back in 1892, that Mrs. Borden was slain approximately an hour to an hour and a half before her husband. And they did that scientifically with examining the contents of the stomachs, which were sent into Harvard University and were analyzed for the rate of digestion. because they both ate at the same time in the morning, about 7:15. They both had the same material for breakfast. So it was pretty easy for those who were looking at the stomach contents to say, this person died much earlier than this one. In this case, an hour and a half, an hour to an hour and a half.
Sure.
Because the digestion of the food in Mr. Borden's stomach was much more advanced than Mrs. Borden.
Right. So where does this document leave us? What other ideas does it include?
We didn't critique it. I did not critique it.
I didn't critique it either. I
read it.
I just took the theory.
And I looked at Faye's, the way she was interpreting the information, and I found a lot of points that were plausible. There's some stories out there about the Borden tragedy that are just bizarre. That there was this weird half-brother, Willie, who was the illegitimate child of Andrew Borden and a distant relative who was the pastor of a church, and which someone wrote years after the event. And it's just pure fiction. But her document, her essay, had some real interesting things. And of course, if she wanted to develop that into a novel, she surely has some solid ground, because there's some solid ideas in there. And a lot of those ideas have not been presented in other books. Those aren't the ideas in my book, although we both think that the same person was the perpetrator.
Yeah, just different concept.
Right. She thinks there was more involved. There was a conspiracy that, and I'm not giving it away, but the person who was probably perhaps in charge of the conspiracy was Emma.
Yeah.
And there have been people who accused Emma of being involved. And of course, her alibi was that she wasn't there.
Yeah. It's a pretty solid alibi.
Well, as far as not committing the crime, but planning the crime, well, possibly. But the authorities at that time never looked into anything that she had any involvement in the actual crime itself. And the fact that she was away is what they based their opinion on.
Does this document change, alter, or add new information to your theory?
Not, well, other than we both agree that the killer was John Morse. I never, ever even thought of this other conspiracy. And I'm not saying that I agree with it, but I'm saying that it's plausible.
Right.
She has a possible story here.
Yeah.
That Emma, and to a lesser degree, Lizzie, knew that something was going to happen, and probably, at least Emma, on Emma's behalf, Emma knew that she wanted to be away.
Yeah.
She did not want to be in charge when the crime came down.
To me, it just seems, if it was a planned deal, I feel like there would have been more preparation taken. I feel like the bodies were found so soon that why leave evidence like bloody rags in a bin? You know? Like, I just feel like, and why would Lizzie be on the property? Wouldn't Lizzie want to go get her hairstyled that day? I feel like if I was in conspiracy to murder my parents, well, yeah, she wore flowers in her hair when she was in court, so she definitely did enjoy styling her hair.
Yep.
But like, if I had a conspiracy to do some type of crime with my brother, I'd make sure that the crime was done, but then we both had an alibi to be out of there, so that you could blame it on someone like an immigrant. That Fall River was heavily an immigration town at that age, and that, you know, there would have been other scapegoats. But the fact that Lizzie was still on the property, yeah, I have some questions about that. You know, just like, why is she on the property?
You mean if she knew that this was all going down?
She knew that this
she
was,
would have been.
I would have made sure that if she didn't really have to deal with anything, but she had to find it, why not go get your hair styled and then plan it like, okay, I'm going to come home after getting my hair done and find the corpse. Yeah. Why would I be in the house doing stuff, or send Bridget on a task to do something outside, or she was doing something outside, but send her to do something like an errand or something like that. Like, I feel like if it was going to happen where John already had an alibi, they could have blamed it on an immigrant or some outside force. That to me is my
Yankee Dan or Mike the soldier or
like that. To me, that's my issue with it, is that there was too many people on the property, and Lizzie put herself as if this is the case, Lizzie painted a giant target on her back for really no apparent reason.
Right. Well, that's Faye's story, and we want to say thank you, Faye, for sending that in to us.
We really appreciate it. I love getting stuff like this. It was an interesting read. I read it this morning and a bit of last night, and very, very good. This is the second version of it. She sent us the first version.
Yes, and this is expanded, and I was reading it before I left school yesterday, and I downloaded it and printed it so we could have a copy to critique. And she has some interesting ideas.
Yeah, no, I want to say thank you. Like, I really this type of stuff is like super awesome and special. I love getting this type of stuff.
If anybody else out there has an idea of any of the cases that we present here on our podcast, please let us know. Let us know what you think. Let us know your feeling.
Eli sent a whole book.
Yes, exactly. And
Eli sent a whole ass book.
and it was
an excellent book.
It was an excellent book.
Let us know what you guys thought of Sisters in Death. I thought it was one of my favorite reads that I've read this year. I've read a couple of books.
I wish him the best. I hope that really goes places. I know he's out in Kansas City this weekend, and we say hi to you out there. He said, I know the excitement that he's going through right now because I've felt that, and in my case, I felt it twice. Once when the book originally came out, and that was a while ago, and then when we started doing our podcasts, and you remember this well, back in May, I was scurrying to get the books to get the next set of books from the publisher, from the printer, and I thought I had all the time in the world, and next thing you know, I was inundated and had to go over. Rather than having them shipped, I literally went over to the printer in Randolph.
You're like, I need these now.
And I need these yesterday. And they were so good to me. And I did want to give a shout out to Fowler Printing in Randolph. And when the book first came out, that back 10 years ago, I had Braintree Printing do it, which is in Braintree. And Fowler Printing has acquired Braintree Printing and moved the entire operation over to Randolph. So good people to do business with. They got them done super quick, and they came out super nice. And so if anybody else has got any ideas on the two Kennedy stories we did, both Chappaquiddick and the assassination, or...
I know Eric is like heavy in on the magic bullet theory. I know that's one of the things that he dove into, Eric Eulis. Maybe I can facilitate some type of episode with him on the magic bullet and hear what he has to say. He brings facts to the table, you know, and he spends his time doing his research. He does his due diligence, and I appreciate that. So that was a bit of a half episode, but we're gonna we're gonna expand a little bit on Lizzie because
Right.
we have her here. So what was
Yes.
Lizzie's life like after the trial, after the services? It's 3 years have gone by. What is she doing? Where is
Well-
she? What's happening with her?
She was just a normal person before August 4th of 1892. And after that, it changed her entire life. For 1 year, almost a full year, she was incarcerated, and then the trial. And she appeared in court at the inquest, at the preliminary hearing, not at the grand jury, because the grand jury was looking at evidence to whether or not there was enough facts to bring her to trial. And then she was at the trial. She did not testify at her trial, and that was probably a smart thing on her attorney's part to not have her testify. There was no need to have her testify because the Commonwealth did not prove its case. And we saw that in the
Trial of Lizzie Borden, Kara's book.
yes, and we also saw that in the Karen Reed case, that her attorneys had decided that it was in their best interest if their client did not take the stand, because there was no need for the client to take the stand because the Commonwealth did not prove its case. Because if you do take the stand, then you must face the questions of the prosecutor. And so in Lizzie's case, she was released in June of 1893, went back to 92 2nd Street where the crime occurred, but soon after moved to what everybody in the Fall River, or as we say around here, Fall Reeve, called the Hill. And the hill in Fall River is a set of hills that is away from the downtown area. And many of your merchants, many of your bankers, many of your mill owners had homes on the hill. And in fact, Andrew and a relative by the name of Richard Borden were in negotiations for a piece of land on the hill that they were going to subdivide and build large homes on. And that came out in the initial inquiry that happened a week after the murders, that Andrew indeed was in the process of getting ready to move from 2nd Street up to the fancier end of town. So Lizzie and Emma, with their money that they received from the death of their father and the properties that went along with that, bought a house on a French Road. And Lizzie named it Maplecroft. And the front steps have embossed right across the front in cement, Maplecroft, and that's still there today. So that they moved soon after the trial. Lizzie traveled before the tragedy, had gone on the grand tour of Europe, all the major capitals of Europe, left in June, didn't get back till November. She went over there with a group of other women from Fall River, and so she was well traveled. After the trial, she went out to the Columbian exhibition, which was known as the Chicago World Fair. And we had one of our stories was about H.H. Holmes, who built this hotel of horrors at the time of the Chicago World's Fair. So Lizzie and a friend traveled out there by train and saw the sights. It was the first time where electric lights were used extensively all over the fairgrounds. The first Ferris wheel was at that fair.
Wow.
And then she came back to Fall River and found around town, nailed on telephone poles, a little poem about her and some other flyers about her that were not necessarily complimentary. And she found that people in her church shunned her, where the church was an important part of her life. She taught Sunday school. She taught immigrant children in the church. She taught them English. This is before the murders. And she found that her position in Fall River had changed. And over time, she became more of a recluse, became rather distant. She did enjoy the theater.
Oh, she did.
She did, and traveled to see plays and musicals and things like that, and became friendly with them. And unfortunately, at that time, those people who were actors were assumed to be bad actors. That it was not the group you wanted to hang around with. A lot of drinking, a lot of parties and things like that. And whether or not Lizzie was involved with the temperance movement when before the tragedy. And so it's kind of interesting that she became friendly with them, and one in particular that she became friendly with was an actress who became a silent film actress by the name of Nance O'Neil.
Right.
And Nance O'Neil and her had some common interests in animal rights. And Lizzie had dogs at that time after
Boston Terriers, right?
Right. And Nance O'Neil also was had dogs. Now, Nance was married, and her husband was also in show business. And there was an actor, singer, a personality on the vaudeville circuit who was also in movies and was in one of the very first talkie movies. Called The Jazz Singer, and his name was Al Jolson. And Al Jolson and Nance O'Neil's husband weren't friends. There was animosity between them, and in Al Jolson's vaudeville show, which he performed all over the United States at the major cities, he inferred that Nance O'Neil's husband, he inferred that Nance O'Neil might be lesbian, and he said it as a joke because he wanted to get back at Nance O'Neil's husband. And this got picked up in the paper, and with a little bit of investigation, they found that Nance O'Neil and Lizzie Borden were friends.
And Lizzie was never married.
And Lizzie was never married, and she was in her mid-30s, and that was one of the reasons why she was a suspect for murder. And now the fact that she's not married and she is friends with an actress, and they made the conclusion, and it was in print, that possibly Lizzie was interested in that alternative lifestyle of a French marriage, is how it was described, which would be.
Do you think that's the case? Like, do you think that Lizzie was some form of bisexual?
No. I don't know that there's no.
I get the feeling from her that she was asexual. Did not have a sexual drive.
We it's too bad that she didn't take down her own notes in a diary, because we could get so much from that now.
Could you imagine if someone's going through the house, like the house that she lived in, one of the properties, and they discover in a hidden.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Can you imagine the book on that? If someone discovered like
books,
like a diary of everything. And it just outlines everything. Oh my God.
Well, we know that books are being written today. In fact, we're going to have somebody on our show next week, and I'll put up.
I'll tell you right now, Stephanie has probably the best artwork I've seen. I love that artwork right there. It's beautiful. Caroline, can you are you on that camera? Yeah, look at that artwork. That's great. And then, she wrote 2 books.
Yes, and the second one does not have a fancy cover, but it's the same size. These are about the same size as my Lizzie Borden book, and as far as dimensions go. And so she has these 2 books that are out. These are both recent publications. I believe one of them is dated October of 2025, which would have been last month.
Yeah.
And so she's going to be on our show next week.
Yeah.
And talk about her ideas. This one with the artwork of Lizzie's image on the front is, I love the title.
Yeah.
The House That Shut Her In.
Yeah.
And the house over the years has become as interesting as the case and as interesting as Lizzie and Emma.
Yeah.
Especially from his paranormal standpoints, that it's probably it's been classified as one of the top 10 haunted places in America, and certainly one of the top haunted places in Massachusetts, and not too far away from the Bridgewater Triangle.
Nope.
Right on the edges of the Bridgewater Triangle as we are here today. So the house itself has developed an image of its own. The first time I saw the house was with my daughter. We went to the Fall River Historical Society because at that time they had a Lizzie Borden display there. And all we could do was drive by the house. You couldn't go in the house. The house was a business. There was an attached printing business. And I have seen a Fall River card from the 1950s that shows the Borden home, and attached to it is a printing company on the side. Well, that changed about 20 years ago, and the printing establishment that was built onto the Borden home, was torn down, and the house was restored to look like it did back in 1892. And that's how it is today.
I've never been. I want to go. We should do like a traveling video. You and I take a tour and stuff like that. Just like with a phone.
It is an interesting place. I told you I've been there a couple of times, and I've been on the tour a couple of times. I've been there numerous times, but the tour is interesting. It shows you all the different rooms, takes you through the house. House was an interesting house. Originally, it was 2-family, upstairs and a downstairs, which at that time meant that it had to have 2 means of egress. So there's a front stairway that goes up to the bedrooms in the front. There is a rear stairway that goes up to the bedroom on the back and goes up to the 3rd floor attic, which is where Bridget Sullivan. Notice I didn't say Bridget Monahan this time.
Hey, we all make mistakes.
Well, I got as many comments on that as you did about the chamber pot, but that's another story for another day. And so there's 2 means of egress to go upstairs and downstairs, and the front of the house and the back of the house were connected by a doorway that had locks on both sides. So Lizzie and Emma's bedroom and a guest bedroom were on the front of the house. Mr. and Mrs. Borden's suite was in the back of the house. A door connected those 2 parts, but it was locked on both sides. So people did not go from front to back on the 2nd floor.
Right.
So
Yeah, I would love to do like a tour of the house. I've never seen it. I've always wanted to go.
Parking's tight down there.
Take an Uber. Eh.
And what's interesting about the location now is how close it was to Main Street. You look across the street now where at that time is where Dr. Bone lived, and there's a courthouse there.
Yeah.
And next door where Mrs. Churchill lived, which at one time was the mayor's residence, is not a high rise, but probably 6-story building for senior citizens. And that's in the next lot where the mayor's residence used to be. So Lizzie's house on 2nd is about the only house that's located in that area.
Right.
Other things have been built up around it. I'm sure that at one time somebody would have thought, well, gee, it'd be best thing to tear this down and put something else. And fortunately, it was saved because it is a piece of Fall River history. Now, Fall River is an interesting town. Mill town, 130 mills operating, textile mills operating. It's in the part of Massachusetts, which we call the South Coast, not to be confused where we live, which is called the South Shore. There are two different locations in Massachusetts. The South Shore and North Shore indicate your proximity towards Boston. You're either north of Boston along the water or you're south of Boston along the water. And we are on the South Shore. We're not that close to the water, probably 12 to 15 miles away from salt water from where you go. Now, Fall River, which as you enter the city by car, it gives you the illusion that it's an inland, that you're inland, but in reality, it's salt water.
Yeah.
It's a saltwater port. And that's why it was so important. And a mill city at that time is because they had shipping by boat out of Fall River. And it's, in fact, there's a naval display down there. That's where the USS Massachusetts is birthed. They have several other ships there that you can tour. And that's not too far away from Lizzie Borden's house. So Fall River was a mill town. Next town down the line, which was New Bedford, was a fishing town, still is. And those are all in Bristol County. And that area is called the South Coast. Where we are, which is in Plymouth County, is the South Shore.
Yes. So upcoming episodes on the podcast, we got Stephanie Blakemore and her 2 Lizzie books.
That'll be next week.
Next week. If you guys want to basically follow along, I'll have her links in the description below, so you can check her out. Those books were cheap. I think I bought four books, so 2 copies of each. It was like $15.
Yeah, and they're available on Amazon.
So I got 4 books for $15. So it was like, I think it was like $3, $4 a book.
This is the first one, and this is the next one, and this is what they look like.
Yeah.
And so
those will be linked below. Rich, do you want to talk about your book?
Sure.
Case closed?
Yeah. This is a Lizzie book. This is my Lizzie book, and it's done very well, and I want to thank all of you that have reached out and purchased a book. It's both available on Amazon and on eBay. And when I saw one on eBay, it's easier for me to get personal, and because there's a spot on eBay what you would like written and to whom you'd like it presented. So, and the prices are approximately the same.
Right.
So that's available. We got Richard Ramirez coming up, the Night Stalker, with Eli Frankel, who will be joining us on that particular one. We don't have a date set on that yet.
That'll probably be the weekend following Stephanie Blakemore. I just got to nail down some times. Eli, very busy guy, and plus he's on the other coast, so there is a 3-hour time difference. Sometimes I think about texting him, and it's like 10 o'clock here, and I'm like, it's like 7 a.m. for him. No, I can't do that.
And what else we got? We got Joe Aridi case coming up. That's a real interesting case, and that'll be up later on in November.
Some hot takes that we've been asked to do is, well, we got Jack the Ripper at some point. Do Jack the Ripper, Zodiac. Couple episodes on Zodiac. That's real interesting.
Now, Jack the Ripper, you mentioned today that the person who does your artwork.
Yes,
that
David.
You've been shown.
David is currently painting. He's redoing a Jack the Ripper painting, and there's a chance I might buy it. But if I don't, he's gonna send me 2 prints. He has 2 current Jack the Ripper prints, so he's redoing one of them. So he'll have 3 total prints. He's gonna send me 2 so that I can display 2 prints in the back over here. And yeah, it'll just kind of be a nice aesthetic, for the show. He typically does that like moody, dark mood type painting. You can check him out. Lizzie, if you'll excuse me for one moment, I swear I'll put you back. We got a couple of David's paintings back here. This is my favorite painting that I own. If we go to the wide camera, it's called The Witch's Companion. You got a nice hint of a castle in the background, and then you got a girl holding flowers with a dog. On your right, we have the Vanishing Manor. Beautiful landscape portrait. I love the sunsets. His ability to paint the sunsets is just amazing. But yeah, I am a big art guy. That's why I like Gardner very, very much.
And the Gardner story.
The Gardner story is crazy, but it's like I really hope that they can recover the Gardner paintings that were stolen. It's the biggest theft for personal theft, privately owned property, which is upwards of almost $1 billion at this point.
And speaking of theft, we've been all following the Louvre. Heist.
We got to do an episode on that. Oh, and Ed Gein. I've had a lot on Ed Gein. Ed Gein's very popular nowadays. It's another type of murder situation. I don't know much about the case, but that's something that is very popular right now.
And if anybody has any cases that they would like us to review while we're working on our research for these podcasts, please let us know. And remember, we have that contest going up.
Did anyone win the contest?
No. We had some.
All right, so we're going to continue.
We're going to continue.
Okay.
You had some guesses that were really close.
Really close.
Who was the person that
Barnabas was very, very close.
And a former colleague of mine and still a friend of mine, a guy by the name of Sita, and he listens to all of our podcasts, watches a little bit, but he mostly listens. And so Sita, this is a shout out to you. I want you to know you were real close, but no cigar.
No cigar.
When you guessed the age difference between Seth and I. Remember, as I mentioned last week, I know this might be hard to believe, but I am the older, and Seth is is the younger of the two of us, so it's going to be a positive number. And in fact, better get those in because tomorrow the number will change.
Absolutely.
Because why?
Well, it's your birthday.
That's right.
It's your birthday tomorrow. We did have a question on the live stream that someone wanted me to ask you. In what bourbon or alcohol do you enjoy? Like if you were going to sit down and pour a drink, and obviously the atmosphere of the establishment matters. If I'm going out to a pub, I'm going to drink a beer. But if I'm going out to a casino, I'm drinking bourbon and Sprite, bourbon and 7-Up.
Oh, that is a good one because...
Or even wine. Do you enjoy wine?
I used to.
Yeah? What kind of wine?
I prefer red.
Yeah?
However, those days seem to be behind me because of blood sugar issue.
Sure.
So I have to be kind of...
selective.
Yes. And I used to like Malbecs, and somebody, my daughter had a wine get together one night, so everybody bought a wine, and I had a colleague that said to me to bring this thing called a Riesling. Have you ever had a Riesling?
I had a Riesling on stream on Tuesday. I drank the entire bottle. Very tasty. Well, that's the thing. It's like when I start drinking a bottle of wine, it's the whole bottle.
Well, in my case, if I open a bottle of wine, it's several months.
Is it still good?
Yeah, exactly. So this person said to me, I'd bring this Riesling, and she gave me the name, and I brought this to this wine tasting episode that my daughter had. And what you're supposed to do is tell about the wine and tell about the price and tell when it's best served. And I neglected to follow the rules, and I did not tell when it was best served. And some lady said to me, "Oh, could you tell us when this is best served?" And the person who told me this, we were teaching at Dorchester High School at the time, which is a inner city high school in Boston, affectionately known as Dot High. And this lady that gave me the information about the Riesling said that it was best served at 7 a.m. before we went into the building. But and I told this at this little get-together, and the person I told didn't appreciate the humor. But best served at 7 a.m. before you go in the building.
We did get a topic request,
Yes.
something. Missy Bevers.
Yeah, I saw that. You sent me that.
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance to look it up.
I don't know anything
about. Is that
about
a case?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It was something that was in my chat on Thursday, and then something that was in my chat last night as well. So that's something that we'll have to look into.
Well, I got to get my shovel and start digging.
Yeah. But yeah, so upcoming, Stephanie, the Tena Bar stuff will be coming very, very soon. The sand is the jar, the portrait of Cooper.
Yeah, you showed me that. That was excellent. You showed me the photograph of it. That was really
Erica
excellent.
did such a great job.
Idea.
Yeah, she was dealing with like an ocular issue. So hopefully that gets sorted out very soon. But she was eventually able to finish up the portrait, and it came out very nice. So yeah, so whenever I'm ready to go with the Tena Bar stuff and the clear coat dries on that jar, we'll be ready to go. So that'll be out for you guys in the next week or so. Make sure to tune in for that. And then I might go live on Sunday for a live stream if you guys just want to come and hang out. I like going live. It's kind of fun. We got like a core audience of like 10 to 15 people, sometimes 20 that join in. So if you guys want to tune in on Sunday evening, I might go live.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to join you. I've been invited to watch the football game tomorrow on my birthday.
Very nice. Very nice.
Pizza, by the way.
What's that?
Pizza.
Can't go wrong with pizza. But that's going to wrap it up for today. Make sure you tune in next week for Stephanie Blakemore, dual books. Amazon links in the description below if you guys want to follow along and read the books. It's kind of like Lizzie Borden poetry.
It is. That's what my feeling about it is. It was had a poetic nature to it. This is Stephanie's books. And I've completed one of them, and I wanted to wait to do the second one until the week before. I'll be reading that this week, so I'll be ready for next Saturday. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, as you always do.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Faye, for supplying us with your theory. If you guys have any other theories and want to write us a letter, you guys can send an email to the email in the description below. Also, follow me on Instagram, Seth_Rzuski, and you can also follow me on X. All the links are in the description below, as well as Rich's book links will be down there as well. So I'll see you guys soon. See you guys next week. And
thank you very much.
Be sure to tune into the lives. I'll talk to you guys. Have a good one.